Hey guys, welcome to CALLOUS Fight Night. This is arguably the biggest heavyweight matchup that we've had up to this point. These are two really big players. Zomog, who just got second place in the ADV Championship and has been running really hot in this tier recently, and Astamatitos, who is largely considered one of the very best ADVs, top 5, if not number 1 of all time. The poster child of ADV consistency. We've got a standard lead in a meta for Asta on the top, defending champion Zomog on the bottom, with a much less conventional Jinx. Goes for the turn 1 substitute, broken despite not switching by a Pursuit Metagross from Asta. So unusual stuff on turn 1 here. Jinx in and of itself is weird in ADV, and Metagross with Pursuit is very, I was going to say uncommon, but outright rare, I would say. And this puts Zomog in a position where he's more or less, interesting that he goes Ice Beam. He must not have Lovely Kiss, because I was going to say forced to Lovely Kiss, because it's damned if you do, damned if you don't with the Pursuit. Substitute has no point. Staying in and fighting is a losing battle. Interesting that he went for the Ice Beam there, which 49 is actually more than I thought it would do, even with a crit. But he actually did have the Lovely Kiss, and he landed it after the fact. So they both switched when they saw the opportunity to do so. Dugtrio came in trying to trap meta. That did not occur. It was Dugtrio on Blissey. Blissey retaliated with Ice Beam. That hit an incoming Celebi, which is clearly bulky, to take only 30% from the super effective Ice Beam, make that 21% after a Calm Mind, and there's no sand in play either, so the thing is absurdly bulky right now. However, Asta does have Toxic. If Celebi does have Baton Pass, then this could be a real threat, but if it does not, then the Celebi will be negated and walled by this Blissey with Toxic. Zomog staying in and continuing to Calm Mind up should raise a red flag for Asta, indicating that there could easily be a Baton Pass to a different Pokemon here, but that does not appear to be the case. Yes and no. I mean, he Baton Passes, but like, is Metagross a special threat? That will be to be determined here. If he's got HP Grass, that would devastate Swampert here, but that doesn't seem to be the case. He seems strictly physical. He's shown Meteor Mash and Earthquake. HP Grass would have nailed him there, but he does not seem to be a mixed threat. Those boosts are largely wasted. They are passed to a physical Pokemon, and Meta, despite those boosts, is forced to switch out when he sees Skarmory on the other end. There's now a Flygon for Zomog. Interesting team that he has, which seems to really dislike Skarmory, but he doesn't have Magneton or an overly good Skarmory answer. In fact, his last Pokemon is now confirmed to not be Magneton. It's Moltres. So the full squad of 6, and a weird squad it is, for Zomog has been revealed. Asta looking very standard, bringing the Bliss Skarm. 2 unrevealeds. He's got the Swampert. I mean, almost certainly one of Asta's pokes is going to be T-Tar. It's probably T-Tar Gengar, T-Tar Dougie, something along those lines. Maybe it's a little more linear style, and it's T-Tar Salamence, but it's probably something along those lines, and I'd be shocked if one of the pokes for Asta was not the T-Tar that I've mentioned. Asta disconnecting here. Fantastic. Having that Greek internet issue, it's actually worse than that. I think he's not home right now. I think he's abroad, so who knows what kind of internet crap he's dealing with. But he does reconnect here, so we don't have too much of a delay. Here's the Baton Pass with 0 boosts to the meta. That's fine and well, but we've seen the meta get walled by the Skarm. The mind game begins of, does the meta blow up, and if so, what does he hit? He goes Meteor Mash here. That's going to do only 16%. We know the Skarm has Protect. Does he blow up anyway? He does not. He goes Meteor Mash again. This is all one big mind game. Now here's the Protect. And again, it's a Meteor Mash. Does not blow up into the Protect. It's a pretty obvious boom turn now, but he still doesn't go for it. There's the Roar. That's going to drag out Moltres, which is more or less hard-walled by the Blissey. Skarm Bliss seems quite difficult for Zomog's team to break. I think I really like Asta's position right now. Zomog has 2 spikes beneath his team. He's got 4 spikes vulnerable pokes. Skarm Bliss on paper seems very difficult for Zomog to break. Zomog's team just seems kind of unconventional and weird. It just kind of looks like a junky gimmick thing that a 1300 ladder player would have. I mean, Zomog's not that. Zomog has been really good in this tier recently. It's not him that I'm shitting on. I don't like the team. One way to win is if Asta keeps having internet issues. Here's another disconnect for him. I appreciate him playing. I mean, it's like 6 in the morning for him right now at the time of this. He's on vacation. He's abroad. It's a pain, and I appreciate him stepping up and doing this. A disconnect, I mean, it's no big deal if he reconnects. If he doesn't, this shit's going to get awkward. I have never had to deal with that in one of my fight nights before. I definitely trust Asta, and I firmly believe that he would not be doing any of this on purpose or trying to manipulate anyone or get some stupid activity, win or loss or whatever. He wouldn't create drama. It's fight night. No one cares. He's obviously not doing it on purpose, but he's having some kind of internet issue. He's disconnected twice. He's back again. He switches to a T-tower that we didn't know about. So, I mean, nobody's surprised. We all thought that was there, but now we know. And here comes a little more gimmick action. Zomog busting out the Dragon Breath here. Not even Dragon Claw, but Dragon Breath. Fishing for the added effect paralysis, which on his first attempt, he does not find. The damage is minuscule. 15% with a crit on Skarm is terrible. But what he's really fishing for is the paralysis chance. I don't actually remember on Dragon Breath since I haven't used it since playing the cartridge. I think it's a 30% paralysis chance, but that is most definitely not a move that I did any kind of prior studying or looking into. Wasn't expecting to see Dragon Breath tonight. Here's a third attempt at it. Para still has not come. Skarmory is beating up Flygon one-on-one, which is a little bit sad. He either doesn't have a fire attack or he is bound and determined to find that damn Para. And there it is finally, a second critical hit from Dragon Breath here. Skarm is probably still going to win one-on-one despite the paralysis, and Zomog at this point gets out of the way. Moltres comes in on a failed protect. Skarmory definitely has to be nervous now. Obviously, Moltres would cook it, but how do you deal with the Bliss? That seems to be an ongoing issue. Flygon is not going to deal with it. Certainly not a Dragon Breath Flygon. If it were a CB Flygon, perhaps. But this Flygon, I don't know how that gets around it. Metagross, I mean, Asta is never going to allow the meta to blow up on the Blissey unless it is absolutely favorable to him. And yeah, I mean, that really just leaves the Dugtrio. The Jinx, hypothetically, if it were a set like Mean Look or Perish Trap or whatever, could beat the Blissey, but we already know that it's not. We've seen Sub and Ice Beam. Here's Ice Beam again. What he's trying to do here is he's trying to get the Blissey into range where Dugtrio can finish it off. So Zomog on paper is trying to make a good trade here. He would lose the Jinx, and in exchange, the Dugtrio would come in and finish off the Bliss. But obviously Asta doesn't allow that. He makes a smart play in going for Toxic. Had he actually killed the Jinx there with Seismic Toss or whatever, the Dugtrio would have been able to kill him. So by going Toxic there, he actually prevented his Blissey from getting killed with the Dugtrio revenge kill. So that was a very situationally aware play for Asta. Very heads up that he did that. I think a lot of players would have attacked there, and then after the fact, oh fuck, now Dougie gets me. So good play there for Asta. I think he's dominating this game. I mean, I don't like Zomog's team. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe he'll show us what it can do and he'll come back or whatever. But it's really not looking that way right now. I think Asta is on pace to absolutely roll this game. 5-0, 6-0, that kind of thing. Zomog's team is just not working. Asta's internet woes are continuing, however. Good old vacation internet. Have you ever had to play a match at a hotel on crappy hotel Wi-Fi or up in the cabin, up in the mountains or whatever? That's what Asta's going through right now, and it blows. And man, would this be awkward if he never reconnected. He's reconnected every time so far, but this has got to be frustrating for him. And man, it looks to me like Asta is clearly winning this game. So it would be real awkward for him to take an L in this fashion. He still has over 3 minutes to reconnect, so I mean, I'm not getting panicky yet, but obviously we all would like to see this actually play out instead of some cheesy disconnect problem here. Like I said, I appreciate Asta being here at all. He's a busy guy. He's married. He is studying to become a doctor. He's got a lot of stuff going on, and he's also on vacation right now. So the fact that he's playing at all, I am extremely grateful. It sucks that his internet is uncooperative. He is back in the game. He's got that last poke Aerodactyl. That works. That was like the only thing it could have been that I didn't mention because, of course, make me look dumb. But here it is. And Swampert coming in to the Dragon Breath. That's going to get immediately paralyzed. That actually could be a little bit relevant. It sets up Pokemon like the Celebi and the Moltres to absolutely be faster than the Swampert. The Moltres would have been already, but now they can just fish for HP grasses and put Swampert in a pretty bad way. It could theoretically have Refresh. We have seen Protect, Toxic Roar. So yeah, obviously it's not going to be last move Refresh. That would mean it has no attacks. That is no bueno. It's probably simply last move Surf. The good old Mono Pert that I know a number of players like. I'm a fan of that set. I don't think it's the right set on every team. But the teams where it does belong, I find that set to be very, very good and very underrated. There's a lot of good sets of Pert. I mean, you just can't go wrong. Whether you go the classic defensive utility route with like Protect, Roar, Earthquake, Ice Beam, whether you want to go Endeavor Pert, which is a very viable offensive set, whether you go straight offensive Pert, which has been the trend recently. I mean, there's so many ways to go with it. Mono Pert, Refresh Pert. It's a really versatile poke, and like none of the sets are bad. Here comes the Blissey switch into the Moltres. Overheat, decent chunk, but it's just not enough. 33% with a special attack on Bliss is a lot, but the reality is that she's at 55% right now. However, Zomog fodders off Jinx here. Asta makes what could be arguably his first mistake. He's going to get his Blissey killed here by not switching her out. Asta is going to allow this play to happen. Jinx gets foddered off here, and that's going to allow Dugtrio to come in and kill Blissey, so that gives him a little breathing room. Maybe now the Moltres can be a threat now that the Blissey is out of the way. So Zomog does gain a little bit of ground here, but all that being said, Asta clearly still feels ahead to me. Dugtrio will die the next time it comes in. Metagross is not in all that much better shape. Celebi can live if it gets in at the right time and get a recover off, but you've got to think that Zomog is behind here, and he's got a weird set. Dragon Breath Protect here. Is this a strictly special Flygon? Does it have, like, Fire Blast Giga Drain? I don't think so, because it had a million opportunities to use a fire attack on the Skarm that it did not take. So, like, it could be, like, Earthquake and Toxic or something, or Earthquake and Rock Slide is the last two moves. I'm really not sure. Dragon Breath Protect is a really weird set, and that also seems anti-synergistic to me because you're trying to inflict para, so, like, on turns where you fully paralyze them, why are you protecting? It just seems like a waste. Those two moves don't seem to overly gel, in my opinion. Asta on the bad end of a full para here as the Moltres nails it with HP Grass. Asta maybe tried to go for a Surf there to really hit that Moltres, but did not find the opportunity to do it. Toxic is ticking down on Moltres. Here comes Meta. Great prediction for Zomog, nailing it with Overheat as Asta falls behind in this game. However, this Pokemon seems like a big, big issue. Aerodactyl, I think, is going to be a monster for Asta in this game. Makes a good double switch back to Swampert here. Great read for Asta. Finds an opportunity to get his Paralyzed Mon in. Earthquake does a lot, but it's not enough. Asta there had the option, whatever he prefers, of Toxic, which has to go through the imperfect accuracy and the paralysis, or the Torrent Range Surf. He opts for the Toxic, connects on the Flygon through the things that could have made it miss. And we've got ourselves a game here where I didn't think there would be one. They both have legitimate threats here that keep the other guy in check. The Moltres, very dangerous, is just chunking something every single time it comes in. But the Aerodactyl is also very dangerous. This game way closer than I thought that it was going to be. And Asta makes this same double switch again. Zomog fodders off Dugtrio here. Here comes Swampert now on Zomog to respond to it. He goes to his Celebi, which is absolutely faster now if it wasn't already, thanks to that paralysis. Psychic coming down at Swampert, showing that he doesn't have a grass attack. Or maybe he knew Psychic would do more against the Aerodactyl. We've seen the full set now. Yeah, Calm Mind, Recover, Baton Pass, Psychic. There is no grass attack. There is no Leech Seed. Aerodactyl getting tougher and tougher to deal with every single time it switches in. Zomog running out of options and running out of HP to deal with this Pokemon. Aerodactyl staring it down. Zomog figuring out what to do. It's him using the time here. Aerodactyl has not locked in its move here. Maybe Zomog's best bet is you hope Asta goes for Rock Slide and he misses with the 90-10. But I think he can just Double Edge from here. Double Edge would not kill Flygon from this HP. So perhaps you have to give something up. Then you go to Flygon and see what you can do. But the Aerodactyl is such a problem for Zomog. It's not just the way that the game went. Just looking at Zomog's team, Aero seems so tough. Moltres hates it if it's HP Flying or HP Bug. Celebi hates it. Jinx hates it, gets one hit KO'd by the Rock Slide. Dugtrio gets outsped and killed by it. It just seems like a really hard Pokemon for Zomog, who does not have a proper bulky water, or really a water at all, for being literal. Seems like a really hard Pokemon for Zomog to deal with. Now granted, once the Blissey's out of the way, which took quite some time, but it did eventually go down, the Moltres is also difficult for Asta to deal with. But I think, at the end of the day, it's going to be Asta who wins out, because the Aerodactyl, if it really comes down to it, would beat the Moltres in the 1v1 situation. So even though they are both threats, the real question could be, which one is a bigger threat to the other? And obviously, it is Aerodactyl as opposed to Moltres. Both players thinking about what to do. Both of them using the time right now. Relatively straightforward, I think, for Asta. He might be debating if he actually wants to risk the Rock Slide here. I think Asta just clicks Double Edge, right? He might be running through some calcs. Yeah, Asta agrees with me. I think it's just Double Edge. The question now is, how does Zomog respond to this? He's going to try to live the Double Edge with Metagross. That's an interesting decision. Asta decides not to go down the route of messing around with the damage roll. He instead goes to Skarm, which is probably a good call. I don't think it has too much purpose at this point. Meteor Mash is piling up here, 18%. Roar gets off at this point. Moltres on its deathbed, but obviously dangerous here. Skarm does have Protect, might try it through the Protect, is successful in that endeavor. Overheat going to be blanked, so he does not get the Specs drop. He'll have one more opportunity to do this. Does Asta flip for the 50-50 Protect through the Paralysis, or does he make a switch? He goes to the Swampert, which surprisingly, I thought it would die to the Overheat, but it does not. Two Pokemon remaining for Zomog, the Flygon and the Meta. Gonna gamble on the Meteor Mash accuracy. Connects. We've got ourselves a 2-2. Here's Aerodactyl now. There is no move from this range that will one-hit KO the Flygon. In this case, he cannot even touch the Flygon because he locks on Earthquake, but he's going to try to Poison Stall it out. It is only the Flygon against two Mons, and Zomog is going to concede. I really would love to have seen what the full set was for Zomog. We only ever saw Dragon Breath, Protect, and Earthquake. I really don't know what the last move is. I think you rule out a Fire attack because it could have done it against Skarm. Giga Drain, Rock Slide, Toxic. I really don't know. But that was a lot closer, as noted by Zomog here. That was a lot closer than I thought that it was going to be. I definitely appreciate Zomog busting out the cool team, busting out something a little unconventional. And like I said, I thought he was going to get smacked around, but he put up a real good fight. Nevertheless, Astamatitos is the winner. He's going to be our new CALLOUS Fight Night champion, and he is going to need an opponent. They're chit-chatting here about the game. He is going to need an opponent next week. So let's find out who that's going to be. There are fewer people here than before because a couple of guys asked to withdraw from the Challenger pool because there's SPL going on. They've got other obligations. I don't love it, but I understand it. So obviously I respected their wishes. So these are the guys that we're left with, and some of these guys have been waiting for quite some time. So let's see who's going to get their shot against Asta. Some quick math here. 35, 41, 47, 51, I think. But let me just try that again. 28, 35, 41, 47, 51. Yeah, so 1 out of 51 is what we're going to do. Good old random number generator. 1 through 5100. And then we'll just knock that right down to 1 in 51. Hit that generate button for number 34. And that means that Asta is going to be against Jabba the Griffin. I love that pairing for many, many reasons. I think that is fantastic. Cannot wait to see that one. That should be a fan favorite without a doubt. Astamatitos against I'm making that up. Oh, no. See, I got too excited there. It's not Jabba. My bad. That's number 28. Man, I got so excited there. It's not Jabba. It's Bush Tush. I thought for some reason it was 24. It's 34. Back it up. That's Bush Tush. My bad. Alrighty. That's also a cool pairing in a different way, but it's going to be Bush Tush, not Jabba, against Astamatitos for Fight Night next week. Cannot wait to see that. Rate, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys next week.